जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से को जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर से बसादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपना श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। इस्कॉन फिलाडेल्फिया की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Gaur. Hare Krishna. Good morning. I seek all of the blessings before I start today's verse, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the status quo, Chapter 5. Vidura talks with Maitreya. I hope, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vidura talks with Maitreya. And text 13. Text 13. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So this is text 13, and I'm glad we have His guest Vishnugata Prabhu, His guest Acharya Prabhu, and Mother Sundari. Everybody's there. They will help me. I'm really looking for help for this verse. So let me read the sloka. Sahasraddanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsa hare padanu smriti nirbhutasya samasta dukkhapyayamasu dhatte. Sahasraddanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsaha hare padanu smriti nibrutasya samasta dukkhapyayamasu dhatte. Sahasraddanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsaha hare padanu smriti nibrutasya samasta dukkhapyayamasu dhatte. Please recite.
Shashwadhanasya vivardhamana viraktimanyatra karoti pungsa hare padanu smriti vinivritasya samasta dukkapyayam ashu dhatte.
Sashradhanasya vivardhamana viraktimanyatra karoti pumsaha hare padanu smrita nirvitasya samasta dukkha payayam shudate.
Thank you. Anyone else want to try?
Sashradhamanasya vivardhamana viraktim anyatra karoti pumsa hare padanusmriti nirvitasya samasta dukkhapyayamasu dhatte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sadhadanasya vivardhamana viraktim annatra karoti pumsa hare padanusriti nivirtasya samasta dukkha payayam ashudhate. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else want to try?
Hare Krishna.
Ayo.
Sashradadhanasya vivardhamana. Excuse me. Viraktim anyatra karoti pumcha. Hare padanusmriti nirvritasya samasta dukapyayam ashudate. Hare Krishna, thank you.
So, thank you. The synonyms now. Sa, those topics of Krishna or Krishna Katha. Sradadhanasya, of one who is anxious to hear. Vivardhamana, gradually increasing. Viraktim, indifference. Anyatra, in other things such than such topics. Karoti, does. Pumsa, of one who is so engaged. Hare, of the Lord. Pada anusmriti, constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Nirbrittasya, one who has achieved such transcendental bliss. Samasta dukkha, all miseries. Apyayam, vanquished. Asu, without delay. Executes. Translation. For one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. Purport. We must certainly know that on the absolute plane, Krishna Katha or Krishna and Krishna are one and the same. The Lord is the absolute truth, and therefore his name, form, quality, etc., which are all understood to be Krishna Katha, are non-different from him. Bhagavad Gita, being spoken by the Lord, is as good as the Lord himself. When a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, this is as good as seeing the Lord face to face in his personal presence. But this is not so for the mundane wrangler. All the potencies of the Lord are there when one reads Bhagavad Gita, provided it is read in the way recommended in the Gita by the Lord himself. One cannot foolishly manufacture an interpretation of Bhagavad Gita and still bring about transcendental benefit. Anyone who tries to squeeze some artificial meaning or interpretation from Bhagavad Gita for an ulterior motive is not Sraddhadhana Pumsaha, one engaged anxiously in bona fide hearing of Krishna Katha. Such a person cannot derive any benefit from reading Bhagavad Gita, however great a scholar he may be in the estimation of a layman. The Sraddhadhana or faithful devotee can actually derive all the benefits of Bhagavad Gita because by the omnipotency of the Lord, he achieves the transcendental bliss which vanquishes attachment and nullifies all concomitant material miseries. Only the devotee by his factual experience can understand the import of this verse spoken by Vidura. The pure devotee of the Lord enjoys life by constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing Krishna Katha. For such a devotee, there is no such thing as material existence. And the much advertised bliss of Brahmananda is like a fig for the devotee who is in the midst of the transcendental ocean of bliss. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhisesa Sunyavadi Paschyata Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. For one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of the Lord, of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss, vanquishes all his miseries without delay. Hare Krishna. I would like to see blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Certainly, it's a very advanced subject matter because this needs a realization. Realization because it is Vidura who is inquiring from Maitreya Muni. Vidura is such an experienced person. That's why I really seek your blessing. I'll try to put something, then please add. Vidura is such an experienced person. He has lived his life in this world, and he was a very important position. He was a prime minister. He was dealing day to day with people in general also. So after so much of experience, he was he's putting a question to Maitreya Muni. He's putting this question to Maitreya Muni. It's a very amazing question. He's actually in the text too. He's surprised to see the nature of this world. The people in this world everyone in this world engages in fruitful activities to attain happiness. Everyone, whole world is busy. Now also busy. From morning to evening, only talk is either economic development or war. There may be some other topics, but ultimately, mostly economic development only the subject matter. Just to make our lives better, just to make people's life better. I think in the material world, even though they talk about economic development, war, but ultimately, in general, they are not looking at benefit of others. I'm thinking they just do all these things just because satisfying them for their own happiness, temporary happiness. Because unless one is a devotee of Lord Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, just an example of Vidura, who actually thinks of well-being and welfare of others, mitigation of distress for everybody. Paradukhe dukhe. That's my understanding. Even though people say, "Oh, we are busy with so much of economic development and fighting spirit and so many administrative activities, we are contributing to the society." They always present, "Oh, how this community is contributing this society, how this community is contributing this society." ISKCON also had to prove recent incident in Bangladesh when they are trying to, mark as a terrorist organization. No, ISKCON is feeding people, helping people to come out of the distress, and so many ways social service we are doing, because that's what they can see. They cannot understand the spiritual level of service. So ISKCON also had to prove, "Oh, here, this is what we are doing." So in this world, everybody is working very hard, to present, showcase themselves or their own business, that how wonderful things they are doing, how much beneficial to them. But ultimately, it is ulterior motive. They are trying to help get something out of it for themselves. But Vidura is genuine advanced devotee who has developed that compassion for other living entity. He says that in the next verse, he says, "Great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls." In general, even when we discuss about the four stages of sannyas, Puttitaka, Mohodaka, Paribrajaka, Acharya, and Paramhamsa. And we see how gradually a sadhaka or a devotee develops kind of compassion for other living entities and travels from one place to another place. Really on a purpose of awakening them by sharing Krishna Katha. So Vidur has come to Maitreya to ask this question. And this question is actually inquiring for the benefit of all of us. He says everyone is working in a very, very difficult manner, just trying to be happy. But interesting thing is, neither get happiness, satisfaction, nor one comes out of this entanglement. The more and more one tries to be happy and tries in that way, and get into more and more entangled into it. Aggravated. One is only aggravated by such activities. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, that this unending demands of the family, and we try to satisfy the bodily relations all the time. And in old age, then we lament, by suffering in so many ways, we lament. It's because it's never ending. We thought, oh, this will be over, it's never ending. So here in today's verse, Vidura is saying that for one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics of Krishna Katha, in his Sravanam Kirtanam is very, very much is being stressed here. Gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. But this is not very easy. Hearing Krishna Katha, especially in this age and time, so much of distraction. Prabhupada was giving example how he was anxious to hear while his spiritual master is talking in 30s, 20s and 30s. In that time itself, people had a less patience to hear. That's the symptom of in the age of Kali. Now I'm amazed that the current generation, actually everybody is addicted to gadgets, especially the younger generation is too much. And parents also fail to help them. I'm sure many of us are going through the same challenges in our life. Child is always in the gadget, and when you try to pull it, they will cry, or they will be so much of disturbed, agitated. What's going to happen to all them? I don't know. But the solution is given that anxious to engage constantly in Krishna Katha gradually increases in his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. So Prabhupada writes here that there is no difference. In order to connect with Krishna, be remembering Krishna means not like we'll be sitting here meditating in Ashtanga Yoga process like that. As Rupa Goswami has explained, Lord Chaitanya has explained to Rupa Goswami how he can continue his prescribed duties and then remember Krishna simultaneously. That is the process. That's the process. However, that's the process will help one remember Krishna. So when we hear about Krishna, also it reminds us Krishna. So we are associating with Krishna because Krishna and Krishna Katha are one and the same. But developing such taste is not very easy. Even I've been working very hard to do this. It's so hard. I would like to know what qualifications needed to really develop such taste. Let me go to the next. Then Prabhupada says that Bhagavad Gita being spoken by the Lord is as good as Lord himself. When a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, this is as good as seeing the Lord face to face in his personal presence. But this is not so for the mundane wrangler. It reminds me of this incident when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled to South India and met that Brahmana, South India Brahmin, who was, I think it's Sriranga Kshatra. Please correct me if that's not the right. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees this Brahmana is regularly trying to recite Bhagavad Gita. But he doesn't know how to read properly. He considers himself very much disqualified. But still, because his spiritual master knew that this is what is the remedy for him, so his spiritual master instructed him, you should recite every day. At least by considering his faith in spiritual master, he was taken that very seriously, even though he was doing imperfectly. So he was being criticized by so many peers. So many peers has been criticized. Still, he didn't mind. He continued. Why I'm sharing, because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really want to appreciate that incident, that person, and he asked, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to recite Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but I don't know much very well. But I see that you have tears in your eyes when you're reciting. What is happening to you? So he said, no. When I see this picture of Krishna and Arjuna, Krishna is with the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, Paramatma and proprietor of everything, and who is just becoming a chariot driver for Arjuna. And Arjuna is in the chariot, and it just makes my heart thrill by seeing this, is how the Lord is such a compassionate and loving to his devotees. By seeing this, then I get that goosebumps like that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, yeah, you understood the essence of it. You understood the meaning of Bhagavad Gita, even if you do not know how to recite properly. So that's the point. When a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, this is as good as seeing Lord Krishna face to face in his personal presence. So two things. One is he could feel Krishna's presence. He could understand the loving exchanges between the Lord and his devotees. At the same time, he could see Lord Chaitanya himself. He could see Lord Chaitanya himself. And it is true that whenever we read, Prabhupada's book, actually, when we read sincerely, then we'll feel we are directly connected to Krishna. Feel Krishna's presence. All the potencies of the Lord are there when one reads Bhagavad Gita, provided it is read in the way recommended in the Gita by the Lord himself. So here Prabhupada gives caution. It's true, but not in a polluted way. One should not give their own mundane interpretation, or any Bhagavad Gita, other Bhagavad Gita with mundane interpretations. One will not see Krishna. One will not see Krishna. So these are the certain points. I want to see. There's one more I have in notes actually. Let me see. Yeah. And in Srimad Bhagavatam we read also Nashtaprayasu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So constant hearing is very much is recommended also. Hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. But it's been like so much of challenge. But we have seen those are anxious to hear. they have been very, very successful in hearing. Sages and Naimisarins were also very anxious to hear, about the Lord, activities of the Lord. Thus, Sonak Muni asked all these questions to Sutta Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj asked questions to Sukadeva Goswami. Prabhupada asked these questions to his spiritual master. But unfortunately, even I am trying my best also to really develop taste for hearing. Many devotees have very nice taste for hearing, reading and hearing very much. I would like to know the tricks how to do. But there's a word used, tapatrahi. Tapatrahi means, in order to free from the miseries of this material world, the instruction is given that regular hearing, taste for hearing is there. When we develop, one can be free from such tapa miseries. Those days, devotees has to travel for miles, hundreds of miles to get association. During Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, and I'm hearing during Prabhupada's time also, when the Sangha was being formed newly, devotees used to travel from far distance to for Rath Yatras and to associate with devotees. Hundreds of miles they used to travel. It's amazing how much taste they had for Sadhu Sangha. And now we see that it's available in our fingertips. The Zoom call or the apps available that we can hear 24-hour online is available, and YouTubes, the phones are available. We can always talk. So much books are available. As many books we want. There's no scarcity of it. But yet, so surprising that unfortunately there is no taste for such hearing, reading, and hearing. And I'm really talking to myself. I'm trying. It's my agenda, but I have a very difficulty to time and reading to the degree it's supposed to grow. It's not growing. So I would like to open this discussion with Vishnugada Prabhu is there, Acharya Prabhu is there. They can put some. The Acharya Prabhu, they put some really genuine thoughts in. So how we can develop such taste for regular hearing actually, without getting too much into mundane subjects. Please have. Hare Krishna. Vishnugada Prabhu, Acharya Prabhu, want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. As you know, the method is to regularly do it, regularly hearing. Even if it's sometimes might be like poison, or the verses there in Upadeshamrita that sugar candy is sweet, but in the disease condition of jaundice, it tastes very bitter. So what is the solution? Keep taking the sugar candy. That's the medicine, and gradually it becomes sweet again, and it becomes sweet as it always was, and that becomes very relishable. So the main thing, main aspect of it, as you're doing here today, is to go on hearing from a bona fide source. That's really important. That it's not, we don't adulterate or make up things, imagine things. So therefore, when speaking in devotee association, it's really important to cite the references where you're speaking from, and it's not just something manufactured off the top of your head, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. But as long as that's going on, then over time it says over time. It doesn't happen to me over time. So a little faith in that. And then Lord Chaitanya also said, the holy name alone can render all benediction, but unfortunately I have no attraction for it. Lord Chaitanya. So that means we have to remain in a humble condition, hoping that somehow I'll get that attachment, attraction for it. And in that condition, Krishna will help you, like you did the Brahmin in Sri Rangam. Anyway, let's first, perhaps somebody else.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
So much for your class. This question is specific to hearing and chanting while raising young children. When I was raising my children, I was, I guess, what others would consider to be rather fanatical. And we were at every morning program, every evening program, without fail, constant chanting, hearing and chanting all day long. I did temple service, taking care of deities and teaching at the Gurukula. So my kids knew kind of nothing but Krishna. And I noticed that devotees who would come to the temple much less regularly, like they'd come once or maybe twice a week, their kids seemed so enthusiastic for kirtan. And my kids, on the other hand, started to feel like kirtan every day, like, is this all we do? And I ended up adjusting things and, not to be too mundane here, but getting a seaward and things like that, because we were living in San Diego, to kind of introduce some balance. But still, I was fanatical about the program and the hearing and the chanting. And to this day, I have regrets about this. I feel that if I had emphasized more loving Krishna at home, having things at home that were which I see Indian families doing much more than what we had in the beginning of ISKCON, emphasizing the puja at home and making Krishna feel like he's just part of your life, your domestic life. Maybe that's the answer. Temple life part of the time, home life part of the time. But my concern is, did I do something wrong in helping my children appreciate the holy name and the hearing and chanting process? Is there a better way to do it? And I definitely think there is, than the way that I did it.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you for bringing that. Your observation, I also observed the similar thing. Sometimes when you see the devotees coming from the temple, they're so enthusiastic, and children also. But the devotees, residents, they may not be enthusiastic. The reason, also I noticed that because residency every day, and for us, we don't have, just because we show temporarily enthusiastic doesn't mean that we are all the time. We do once in a week. Same thing when you develop familiarity a little bit, right? So no matter what, there's no reason for feeling guilty, because you did what needs to be done in your time. That time movement needed help, and you also spend time and preparing for the benefit of others. Because when you are in that association, so many times we don't appreciate what we have it. So it's due course of time, our children also will realize, oh yeah, after sometimes, such a great time we had in the devotee association. Similarly, I think because devotees children grew up there, so for them is not a big thing. For others who are coming from outside, they're getting once in a week. So it's natural that they will be enthusiastic and to hear as a sadhaka, as Vishnu Prabhu said, slowly they will develop the sadhaka. Everyone doesn't have that ability or qualification to stay in the temple. Actually, it's not very easy job to make whole hearing and chanting 24 hours. That's why Prabhupada very expertly gave different engagements so that we can still be connected with Krishna by serving in different way based on our propensities. But my point is, always like how we develop really when the interest, the desire or anxiousness to hear Krishna Katha I want to hear more and more. I want to hear more and more. I've seen so many devotees are very, 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 very regular and very sincerely, they're very intellectual and they can hear and read for hours and hours. Vishnu Prabhu mentions it's just a matter of jaundice, curing the jaundice. It takes time. As you keep on doing, you will develop taste. That's what I got answer from him. So, anyone else? Acharya Prabhu, you want to say something? I see some message here. There is no
No,
reason.
nothing from me.
So I see your message. There's no reason at all why those two things would be mutually exclusive. Can you please explain what is that? I mean, staying at home and
Yeah, those two things of bringing your children to the temple for the morning program on a very regular basis, and also having a active and enthusiastic, sense of Krishna consciousness and practice of Krishna consciousness at home. It doesn't mean having one doesn't mean you don't have the other.
right. Yeah.
And that's a balance. Different families will find their balance in different places on the spectrum, but they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. And that's the ultimate purpose we have. We are educational society, and the temples are actually places of education, and people come. We help them how to. That's I have been doing actually. It's been from beginning my same goal. Whenever the families come, I wanted to help them, setting up, prepare them the altar, parampara. This making the temple at their home so that they can practice daily. Vishnu Prabhu wants to say something. Yeah, please. Please go ahead.
At the same time, there is consideration about the presentation of Krishna consciousness for different kinds of people and devotees. Just like Srila Prabhupada wrote Easy Journey to Other Planets, it was focused for the more scientifically minded, and he encouraged devotees to write in that same fashion or similar fashion for the Bhaktivedanta Institute, for a particular group of people. Of course, it can be appreciated by anybody, but particularly for that. Similarly, for children, it might be there's some adjustments that might need to be made for presenting the philosophy for kids. Just like we have, kids' books. And Srila Prabhupada gave instructions about that. You can look in the Vedabase about presenting Krishna consciousness for the younger group. I have a personal kind of experience of working with kids in like a summer camp setting and Sunday school setting. And sometimes it has to be tailored a little bit for not the message, the ultimate message isn't changed, but in such a way that the younger minds can appreciate it. So, that's also there. Mm. And so how to do that? Well, those are things that they're details that can be discussed, you know. And did Srila Prabhupada recommend some of those? Yeah, he did. There's actually, in dealing with children, there's at least two philosophies that I've seen that are very strong. The Gurukul minister of Gurukul in the GBC was named Jagadish, and there was another devotee named Mother Jyotirmayi, and she wrote a lot about Srila Prabhupada's instructions to her on the Gurukul, and Jagadish wrote a lot of instructions about Prabhupada's instruction to him, and you'll find that they're quite different, or they took them in quite different ways. But Mother Jyotirmayi, her presentation is that things Prabhupada appreciated and agreed and wanted things to be slightly adjusted for the young minds, which is very interesting. Jagadish, not so much.
We have a lot of, I'm amazed that we have a lot of children's materials also available at this time, right? In this time, at this
Yeah,
age.
that's now, but in the early days of ISKCON, it wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that. Yeah, it's amazing. We have a lot of work to do. So you're saying that we prepare present materials based on the audience.
Adjusting to a certain to a certain extent. Yeah,
So
not changing the Hare Krishna mantra, not changing the philosophy, but presenting it in a way that's understandable for that group.
Now I have another question, and I'm bringing that now. It's great. The solution is being provided again and again, repeated. By reading, by hearing about Krishna, you associating with Krishna constantly. But as it is meant, Durdaiva Midrisham Yajanina Anuraga, like that. So unfortunate thing is we don't have that taste. In general, people also don't have that taste. On the other hand, it is said that simply by chanting, the one holy name, one will, chanting the holy name, even hearing once also one be benefited and can be liberated also by conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur. So, yeah, I'll come to you, Bhavgaya Prabhu. So, basically, is it not mandatory to hear? Because there's so many audience in this world, they just simply will be happy by hearing the holy name and prasadam. That's also good. They will also get perfection, equal perfection.
Who are you asking?
You also, you can tell.
My understanding is that's when Hare Krishna purely, they get the. Of course, any Hare Krishna is positive, wonderful, but the Hare Krishna purely is important, and that's why Srila Prabhupada in his initial talk on chanting Hare Krishna, he said, as far as possible, chanting from the lips of the pure devotee should be gotten as far as possible. So, because that chanting will have the most effect. And it's interesting when you read about the first Sankirtan programs that they did in Tompkins Square Park, you'll find so many people just by hearing chanting of Srila Prabhupada at that time, they joined ISKCON. And Srila Prabhupada went out for maybe 2 hours, and along with devotees there. So that's my understanding. It's the purity is the force.
Thank you. Bhavagaya Prabhu, please go ahead.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So this kind of hits home for me because I have a daughter that just turned 11. I got into Krishna consciousness right at the start of COVID. She was 6 at the time.
Hmm.
So she remembers life prior to Krishna consciousness and life with Krishna consciousness. For me, I try to just lead by example. I try to show her the life that I'm living. I try to explain why I live this way, why I eat a certain way, why I wake up the time I do, why I do my puja in the morning. And give her these examples, show her, try to be the best person I can, how I treat others, try to treat others in a Krishna conscious way. I'll have kirtan playing in the house. I'm cooking prasad. I'll have her help with the prasad. Maybe, a lot of times I'll say, all right, the offering's done. Go get the offering. Don't forget, lay down and bow before Krishna before you take the offering. So that's kind of how I go about it. She knows I have to chant my rounds every day. She knows I need to have time where I need to read. But for me, I make sure that I'm still there as her father as well. Hey, Dad, can you want to sit down and watch this with me? Is it Krishna conscious? No, not really, but it's important to her that I sit there and I watch that for her. So I try to lead it that way. I try not to push anything. She's shown interest at times, and then other times kind of backed off. She knows that she's welcome to come every Sunday when I'm there. Sometimes she comes, and sometimes she just wants to be 11 and be at home with her friends. So I try not to push that, and I hope maybe one day that the way I've lived, the example I've set, she always tells me, when I get older, I'll become a devotee. Maybe she will. But that's my fear is I haven't wanted to push too much because I don't want her to hate what I'm doing. Would I like to maybe go to the temple more than I do? Of course. But I never want that like her to think daddy chose the temple over me. And it's a hard line to walk. Because I know one way or another, someone's not going to be happy with me. But I got to just make sure that I'm leading by example. And as children, and not only my daughter, but my niece that's always over, my nephews that are always over, just trying to live that right way. So when they ask me questions, why do you do this? Why don't you eat meat? Why won't you eat pizza when we order pizza? I have an answer for those types of things. So I don't know. I hope that makes any sort of sense, but at least that's what I'm doing. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong, but it seems like it's working so far.
Thank you. Thank you. You're an expert father. That's very nice.
I try. You're too kind. I'm far from an expert.
That's really nice. I think that's what has been taught to us, how to inspire families and develop taste for them. Yeah, thank you. They shouldn't have a bitter feeling, then revolt in future. Oh, my father did this, my father did that. Yes, Prabhu, please.
No, I agree. I want her to say, hey, my dad was a Christian devotee. He would spend his Sundays at the temple, but he would never not take me to a soccer game, or he would never not be there when I needed him to be there. So yeah. So hopefully that shows a certain way that we as devotees live, and maybe that rubs off on her as she gets older.
Vishnu Prabhu want to say something.
I'm just thinking of my experience when we started a summer camp, and this is 1981, so 43 years ago. The first year, we decided that we'll have all the kids who are, 7 years old to 16 years old attend the full morning program at the temple, Mangalarti, etc., and the Guru Puja class, etc. So the problem was that, and this was just a 2-week period, not a long ongoing thing. But most of them were used to staying up quite late, and you have your biological clock, your rhythm of how you stay up at night. So most of them were used to staying up very late, and so they couldn't get to sleep, and so after like 3 days of getting up, or 2 days of getting up for Mangalarti, the rest of the day, they were just completely exhausted and couldn't do anything. You follow?
Hmm. Yeah.
So then the second year, I thought, well, let's not have them get up for Mangalarti.
Hmm.
Let's have them get up at 5:30 instead of 4 o'clock. And so I asked the GBC, and the GBC said, if you do that, the whole thing is a worthless waste of time. That's what they told me.
Hmm.
So I'd had a dream where I went to Srila Prabhupada and I asked him, what do you think about this? And he said, no, I think it's a good plan. He said, in the dream. I mean, this is my dream. You can't verify anything there. But anyway, the next year we did that for the summer camp. We had kids get up according to their age between, 5:30, 6:15 and chant japa. And we had our own japa class, our own uh,
Schedule.
class for the we're our own class, tailored to their interests or where they were, and then they go for the Guru Puja and Kirtan then, and they had class in the evening also. And at that time, there was so much excitement, and people, even to this day, they remember that summer camp starting in the second year. People were so enthusiastic. Now, that doesn't mean that over time you do it that way, but at least for that small group, it was a fabulous response. And it's not that we want to tailor things just for the whims of people, but presenting Krishna consciousness in a way that people can benefit from it is something that we have to consider,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I'm just surprised that, yeah, that's very good. You made, I think that's a very good point.
And in the last 2 days, we would give them special recognition if they attended Mangalarti. Of course, and everybody came. Everybody came and was excited. So the camp went on for a month too.
But I was amazed to see, yeah, Bharati Mataji, I'll come just a minute. I was amazed to see that in 1970 also you're saying children were used to sleeping late. I thought
Who said that? Who said that?
Just now you mentioned that this.
No, these were the people who attended the camp were not devotee, full-time devotee kids.
Yeah.
They were congregational members' children.
Right. Congregational members' children. They used to. I thought those days no gadgets, no YouTube, nothing was.
Oh yeah, they still had stayed up late. That's the way of the world. They had TV, of course.
And I remember when I was go to village, my aunt, they used to make me sleep 6:30 or 7 o'clock, max 7.
Not in this country.
Bharti Mataji, please.
Actually, it's not Bharti Mataji, it's Shobha Radhe. I usually, okay. What I was going to say is that we call it Sanatan Dharma. It's a way of life. If children are going to be part of the outside world, outside of ISKCON, they need to have ways of coping and dealing with it. You cannot, keep them completely insulated and then send them out into the world and expect them to be able to cope and deal with it. So I think a little bit of both is necessary, and it's very important to give them the skills to be able to answer those questions. Why are you, they're asked all the time, why don't you eat this? Why don't you eat that? They have to be able to answer. So that is what is most important. And the other big thing is we were not forced to come to Krishna. We came here by our own choice. We thought this was the best thing to do. And so we did. And so they should also, we've been told so many things we had to do as children. We did them, but we didn't like it. And we won't keep up those ways of doing things because we didn't agree, we didn't like, it didn't work for us, whatever the reason may be. We came to Krishna because we wanted to. And I think the children also should be given that, we should give them everything so that they make the right choice. And I think if you don't force, they will make the right choice. It will take time. It will happen on their own timetable. We cannot decide that they should be this Krishna conscious by this time. That's their journey to go on. We only do our duty in helping them. And children do come back. I mean, Raju still misses the New Year's Kirtan that they used to go on at Govinda's. Even yesterday, he was talking about it and he said, is there going to be a New Year? He said, I used to love telling my friends, what are you doing for New Year's? I'm going to the temple. And so, in different ways, they come back to it. They don't maybe come back to it in the way we imagine that they should.
Right.
And I better get back to work now. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bharti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, please.
Thank you so much. These are all wonderful suggestions. And I take them to heart. And in many ways wish I could redo the way I raised my children. But I think also gratefulness needs to take place. My children all they're very settled, materially speaking. They fit into the world easily. So something I did must have been right. They're all vegetarian. They all believe in God. They don't necessarily believe that Krishna is his only name, but that's fine. So I guess gratefulness for the things that did work is very important, but reflection on how I could have done things better is also important. And I struggle a little bit with the, I guess this guilt that I didn't do things as perfectly as they should have been done. So I think, we all struggle with that in raising families. There's probably no perfect way, but these suggestions that, several devotees have spoken about this, and I truly appreciate these suggestions. They all make a lot of sense. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Every child is different, that's so nice. I'm glad, we discussed so much about how to develop a taste for hearing and also how to bring taste for different personalities based on their situation. That I needs expert guidance or expert training. So thank you. You want to say something more? Mother Subharati, your hands are up, just checking. You can feel free. Okay, so it's 8:53. Any more questions, comments? Hare Krishna. I think a lot of things we have to do. Prabhupada is very kind enough. He knows how to keep us busy. There are a lot of books, a lot of reading, a lot of chanting, a lot of preaching, a lot of training. There's no time for anything else. Hope our upcoming year will be filled with blissful Krishna conscious services. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Vancha kalpatarvyascha.
Kripa sindhavyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo